Okay, thanks. I think people started to slow down.
She did say that she might just do it from home.
All right, are we on here?
Byron, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Who's online? Dialed in. Can you see, Byron?
Yeah, everything is done.
Can you see who's dialed in through Teams?
Yes, 4 people so far.
Who?
Nikki Rettenbacher, Melanie, Nicolau, just hold on, and Jola. And I can't get this thing bigger, just hold on a minute.
Well, you're the fourth. So you're the fourth.
Yeah, probably I'm the fourth.
You're the fourth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Because Laura she's starting.
No, listen. What it will tell me as soon as they
It's
do.
good to sit down.
Oh, good to sit down. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Okay, we're good?
We're just waiting for Cheryl to come back.
No
Just
worries.
waiting to go and get her wallet to get some.
All right, so just so you all know, this is something new. We're dry running it with you guys, so be patient. And but I'm hoping I wanted to create something that would be kind of fun and interactive and cause a lot of dialogue.
Okay.
Now, I didn't want to just be a lecturer, that sort of thing. So this is geared for exhibitors as well as judges.
Okay.
So we talk a lot about the standard because I think that's important as exhibitors and judges to understand.
Yes.
So, and we only received 4 questions. So what we did do, we kind of put questions in with the topic of discussion. And so we'll go through the questionnaire and then we'll talk to that.
Not.
All right? Are we good? Are we all ready then? All righty then.
So,
So anyways, the way that we're gonna run this is like the game of Jeopardy. You're all familiar with Jeopardy on TV, right? So basically, you're not gonna be penalized if your answers are not in the form of a question. But anyways, so I just wanted to go through that. All right, on to the next. Okay. So the Siberian standard includes this information about substance. So this is the category, substance. What's the answer? I'm looking for input.
oh, you're looking for input.
Yes. this
You
is
always
the
a
answer.
standard.
It's a medium, moderate coke. So you want a moderate substance. You don't want heavy, you don't want too light. That's my opinion.
Okay.
It has to be balanced.
Balance.
I'm seeing some English type, top right.
Say that again.
English type.
All right. So you
If you don't get the right answer, don't worry, because the winner of this question takes a shot. By the end of the game, you're going to be
You told me
happy.
that
So you're right. So basically, the need is for a medium-sized dog to be a long-distance endurance sled dog. But the answer is, so again, we're applying the standard. What is any appearance of excessive bone or weight should be penalized? Or what is a Siberian Husky never appears so heavy or coarse as to suggest a fleeting animal, nor is he so light and fragile as to suggest a sprint racing animal. So this first question kind of gets you to the mode of the game. Okay. All right. So that's substance, and you can tell by looking at these.
Which one's the one?
Right. And so the more correct animal is the one on the bottom. The one on the upper right. Why do you think these 2 dogs don't meet the standard for the correct substance?
First one's too fat and
No leg.
short on leg, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it is in the grass, right? It's
And this one. All right. So this slide. So one of the committees that I worked on with the Siberian Husky Breed of America was the illustrated standard. So what I wanted to do was to also interject pictures from our illustrated standard. All right. So from the standard, in profile, the length of the body and the point of the shoulder, which I'm going to show you here, from the point of the shoulder to the rear point of the croup is slightly longer than the height of the body from the ground to the top of the withers. Okay.
Sorry, Anne, are you using a pointer on your screen?
Oh,
That's not coming up on
No.
the main screen.
I am using the pointer on
I
my
thought you
screen.
might.
So anyways, well, I can see it right, you can see it right here, right? This is the point of shoulder. It's not from the prosternum. And people need to understand that. Point of shoulder to the point of croup. From the withers to the ground. Okay, so the proportions called for in the standard, both this one, the body length to height, and the one I just mentioned about elbow to ground and elbow to top of the withers, are crucial to the correct structure of the Siberian Husky. All right? We're not a 50-50 breed. We're slightly longer than tall, and our leg length is slightly longer. Okay? If his body is too short, his feet may interfere with each other, and he may have to adjust his gait to avoid this problem. I didn't see a lot of, in judging today, I didn't really see a lot of dogs that were too short and compact. You don't really have that issue. I don't see that at all. So that's a really good thing. Okay? I think that your proportions overall, there may have been a couple, I saw some 50-50, so I do want to see a little more leg length. But overall, I thought your proportions were good.
But can I just raise something? The coat obviously causes an outline issue.
Yep.
So as a judge, you need to make sure that you checked underneath to make
Which
sure
I-
the coat is, because we've got an
Absolutely.
issue with scissoring coat, so you need to make sure that
Yeah.
that's not marring your vision of the length of leg in front.
Absolutely. And that's one of the, I think if you notice this, that's one of the
Yes.
things I checked,
Yes.
was that, the depth, right? Okay? All right, so the next category is length of leg. The Siberian standard specifies the length of leg in this manner. Go ahead, in the form of a question. Yep.
45, 55.
Must it be slightly longer than the depth of chest? It's in form of a question.
No.
It's a bit difficult. Trying to make it.
This is good though, see,
But
get
it's
you
a
actually
chest.
thinking about the standard and what we're calling for. I'm waiting for some more. Okay,
We hear 60-40 and we hear 45-55, which is the
so the answer is, in the standard, it says, what is the length of leg from elbow to ground is slightly more than the distance from the elbow to the top of the withers. Okay, so the top of the withers, right, and the elbow to ground, slightly more, not 50-50.
Yeah.
So what is slightly
What
more?
is slightly,
the acceptable
what do you
ratio?
expect?
So slightly, so no, slightly more, it's really literally about 10%.
It's about 45,
Okay,
45.
10%.
10%.
10%, that's about it.
10%, 55.
Because precisely the same thing with your length of the back, you know, length to height, how much more length to height? And that's
10%.
that rate, 10%,
That's why-
that's fine. Because knowing that immediately changes the perception
Absolutely.
in looking, because, I mean, you take a bearded collie,
Yeah,
a bearded collie asks for 9 to 11, to 10.
got it, yeah.
And yet the rough collie, which also has length, we want just fractionally more.
Right,
And a lot of people will look at a rough collie and say that they're too square.
right. So we're basically an off-square breed.
It's an off-square breed.
We're an off-square
By
breed. So the bitch that's pictured in the upper left of this has legs approximately 23% longer than elbow to ground, than the distance from elbow to top of withers. The short yellow line above the withers shows about 10% more length.
Okay.
The dog in the upper right has legs from elbow to ground that are much shorter than the distance from elbow to top of withers, and you can see that, right? The dog in the bottom shows the length of leg from elbow to ground as being slightly longer than the distance from elbow to top of withers. In this case, so that's 10%. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Now, big question.
Uh-huh.
Would you, if you're given all three dogs, which is the worst? The short legs or the extra long legs?
For me, it's long and low. I do not like low-legged
So the short
dogs.
legs.
Okay. So if we're a little bit too long, it's better than a little bit too short.
And legs.
Yes.
Yes. For me, that's just a personal. But I want them close to the ideal, the standard
Yes,
as
but if you
possible.
don't get anything,
Because I'm thinking running and breaking through a trail in snow,
Yeah.
if I've got short little legs, it's gonna be hard for me to do it.
One of the things that shorter legs will do on the sled team is they'll actually restrict the sled team. Dogs actually learn to pull with gravity. So they'll come off the hindquarters and they'll drive down, and as they're driving down, the gang line gets tight and propels the sled forward. And that actually generates your best speed on a team. And if the legs in the front are too short, you won't get the speed out of the team. And that's the important part of the leg line and what it does. Because if you just if you went out and pulled something just with your legs, you would tire out so fast, you would be done. So a sled team, after they run enough and the dogs run enough, they'll actually use gravity in the harness to propel themselves forward. And that's one of the reasons I feel you need a longer leg.
Okay? All right, so then, again, and I think we've all figured that out, the need for a long distance endurance sled dog for a slightly longer leg. And so then, okay, so then the question came up from your group, what is the preferred ratio of length of leg to depth of chest? And it was stated by several qualified judges that it should be equal. I don't understand how a qualified judge could state that it should be equal when our breed standard says slightly longer than tall. So that's the answer. The standard says length of leg from elbow to ground is slightly more than the distance from the elbow to the top of the withers. So again, our rule of thumb is 10%.
10%.
Okay? All right, and then again, so then this is from the illustrated standard. Like I said, I inserted these just so you could see 4 legs. Length of leg from elbow to ground is slightly more.
There we go.
Okay? So I'm not going to repeat it, but I did want you to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so our next topic is the top line. The Siberian standard addresses the top line in this way.
Level.
Now I'm looking for answers.
Level.
Level. So the answer is the back is straight and strong with a level top line from withers to croup. And one is also, while the dog is gaiting, the top line remains firm and level. Okay? And I'll go with this. So can you all identify what is correct? What are the correct photos here and which ones are not?
The middle,
One
standard,
under the roof, top right.
bottom right.
Bottom right.
This one, I guess mine doesn't show it. Right, okay, so we'll go. There we go.
Yeah.
Are you all in agreement here? Okay. So one of the things, I will say this, that I find that a poor top line is often an indicator of other structural issues, right? You know, oftentimes when you see a slack top line, it's indicative sometimes of straight shoulders or unbalanced angulation, right? And so that's why you're looking for that firm level top line. And then again from our illustrated standard, okay, it says the back is straight and strong with a level top line from withers to croup. It is of medium length, neither cobby nor slack from excessive length. The loin is taut, and that's one of the things when I was examining, I'm also checking for that. The loin is taut and lean, narrower than the rib cage, with a slight tuck up. The croup slopes away from the spine at an angle, but never so steeply as to restrict the rearward thrust of the hind legs. And so faults are weak or slack back and roach back or sloping top line. So again, the one on the top is the ideal.
You want to go back a slide, please?
Go back a slide.
So if you look at this dog here, the sloping top line, and you think of the X-back harness on a dog, the X-back would come at an angle, and the line comes off the dog straight. So the power of the dog's coming off the breastplate of the harness, and if it's at an angle, it has to compensate to get the pull. So the dog is becoming more inefficient because of the harness on the dog. To where here the X-back comes straight off the dog, and everything's in a continual line. And that's why we want to see that flatter, straighter top line. The standard's really written for a sled dog. It really is.
Okay, and then we went through that one. Okay, so, and again, this is just showing the balanced front and rear. Okay, this next one, the next topic is function. Okay, the category is the Siberian's function. According to the standard, this is the Siberian's original function.
Carry a light load.
Sorry, say it again?
Carry a light load.
Long distance.
Over long distances.
At a moderate.
At a moderate pace.
Excellent. He performs his original function in harness, most capably carrying a light load at a moderate speed over great distances. Okay, so then I'm going to probably skip here and show you a couple of photos. So the Siberian standard mentions the physical and mental characteristics that make the Siberian successful as this original purpose. It is truly a form follows function breed. His body proportions and form reflect this balance of power, speed, and endurance. The eyes and ears in combination with the skull and muzzle give the Siberian its characteristic expression while also providing a head that is well suited to the function in frigid working conditions. So a question came up. Having worked your own dogs in harness competitively, what would you say are the biggest differences to those dogs to modern day Siberian Huskies being shown? And, you know, so I had to think on that question because basically we have mostly run dogs that we show. And that being said, we have run correct proportions as outlined in the standard. As I said before, what I don't like to see is dogs that are long and low or short in leg. Dogs that are out of balance, I'd rather run a dog that's straighter front and rear, because it's balanced, and it will last longer than a dog that is out of balance. Dogs that are out of balance, that is the hardest thing in the breeding program to get rid of. Just so just speaking from experience, that's one of the things that I've seen. So I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of our dogs.
There's a hands up there.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to ask a question to working person.
Uh-huh.
When you're working the dog, now we don't have the climatic conditions to work the dogs. How long does it take for that dog to converge? For the legs to converge to the central line of the body? Do they start off wide when they're on the sled? Your wheel dogs, all of them, that's I need to ask.
And so it's interesting, that question did come up, and maybe it was from you, but I actually have put it into a later spot in the presentation. But that was one of the questions about converging. So when we get into movement, we'll talk on that question, but let me show you a couple of photos of teams, dogs in harness, but to answer your question, it's not that dogs start out wide running in harness. It's just, I mean, yeah, they're taking.
Propulsion starts from the rear.
Yeah.
Forward, so it takes a while for them to converge.
Sure.
Sure, jump in. Exactly.
So we actually never allowed our dogs to four-leg when they raced. We wanted our dogs to canter.
Oh, okay.
So, because I think that you're talking that you want your dogs to gait in harness.
I'm
or-
talking about,
Yeah. So we ourselves never allowed our dogs to
even
to
to
four-leg.
gate.
Four-leg.
They canter the whole way.
Yeah, they canter the whole way.
Wow.
It's a loping breed.
It's a you can load It's
We're not like
loping.
Rottweilers. We're not just
Okay, so
riding.
they can gate. They'll not gate once they're in the stride. They will
Sure, they can
canter.
over long distance. They're going to do that,
Yeah.
but they're converging.
So this is actually a pretty good slide where I was talking that the dog's using gravity to propel the sled forward. This dog's in its upstroke. This dog is in his bottom stroke. He's already expended the gravity on the harness right here. You see how low it is in the head. This dog's in the medium position. This dog's really a go-getter. This one's a hard worker, really hard worker. But you can actually see that right there that the dogs are actually using gravity to propel themselves forward.
So I had a couple of.
But I just want to ask something. Like here we got now the show line running in sledges, but when you
Say that again, I'm sorry.
here you got now the show line that's running in a sled. But if you look at the ID trot and things like that, they don't use only the purebred and the show line. They use all kinds of dogs to pull those sleds.
This
Yeah,
is
we'll
this
talk
is
to that too.
and this is this team right here. This is the Iditarod. And this is the purebred Siberian team. At the start of the
What I
Iditarod.
say, some of them I've watched over time, and some of those dogs don't look like Siberians, but
Oh.
they say they're Siberians.
We'll get into that further.
Yeah.
We'll stay on track. We'll circle around again.
Yeah.
Because we actually had some.
Okay, so anyways. Okay, so this, we were bringing this. Oh, by the way, I'm just gonna point this out. See this? Oh, you can't see it.
Yeah, you can't see.
Yeah,
the
we're not
points.
gonna see.
Now you can.
Now you can.
Because you're not in presentation mode.
Okay, okay, see this dog right here? This is Broker. Highlanders go for broke. Okay, just because he was here in South Africa for a while, so I thought I would include this. But you wanted to talk to this, and you were talking about speeds, Brian.
So this is actually just out of the start gate. So these dogs quite haven't got into, they're using a lot of their rear legs right now. But these dogs here, they're on the downstroke. We have a size qualification in our standard.
In the US, yeah.
This dog right here is probably
He's 25 inches tall.
25 inches. He's huge. He's a huge.
He's over
setter.
standard.
He also had a snap tail. This dog was out of the ordinary. We never bred this dog before.
Right.
This dog.
We
This
bred
dog-
him. We didn't breed him.
When this dog quit running, I came out of hyperspeed. Literally. And what would happen is that he was so big, he worked the hardest out of the whole team. So having a same size
Uniform team,
team is actually very important for the team.
That's why we have the standard, yeah, the heights.
But all these dogs here are actually pulling, they're cocking up, and they're going to fire, they're going to come down. This dog's firing off on the harness. He's expended everything. These two back here are in their upswing. These two right here and these two are in the same, and these are really different. And what you'll actually see is you'll see this gang line in a wave. And that's what you'll see, is you'll see a gang line in a wave.
But one of the other things to note here is note the shape of all of their eyes.
Yeah.
See that? And you can tell this was in a snowstorm. And everything served them well.
It snowed nearly a meter the night before this race, and they went out with a tractor and a boat full of a bunch of crap, flattened the trail out, and that's what it was. And I went down some hills, and the front dogs literally disappeared. And that's what they ran for.
All right, so that's, and then, so then this is moderate. So we were talking about range of bone, right? So that's one of the things we wanted to show here. So this is what's called a piebald. I don't know if you have them over here so much. Beautiful.
We had that from our center many years ago, but we don't have
So
There's a show ring, Joe.
Yeah, it's
from our center. Yeah.
So this was a beautiful, so we're only showing you our old dead dogs kind of thing, right? Because we're not trying to promote anything, but anyways, we did want to show you this because he has a beautiful, beautiful head type, and this dog really worked hard, and he was very moderate in bone, good length of leg. And then I think it was one more, oops. Oh, so you wanted to see this, so, yeah. So in this, is he in this?
Down one.
Oh, he's down here.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so again, there's that same eyeball, and so what we wanted to show you in this photo was this dog here. This dog here, he had more bone.
Yeah, look at the bone on the leg.
But it was still within standard. It was still moderate. And then this was a little bit lighter. So we're just showing you this photo to show you the range of bone that we might have. And then these guys were also moderate in bone.
The reason why a Siberian shouldn't really be a sprint animal is you notice how deep the snow is. And then you see the bone is that you have to have what I call bottom end. In other words, you have to have dogs with enough girth and enough substance that when the snow got thick, you could get through it. And what we found in the sprint racing is that dogs were strictly sprint and you had heavy snows, they would not win the race. It would be a team that had more girth to it, more substance to it, and having more bone to it is beneficial. And that's why we're a mid-distance dog. We should have some substance to the bone.
Or long
we
distance,
shouldn't be,
long distance.
yeah, we shouldn't be so light.
Right, as a
Yeah.
sprint to, yeah. So even though we ran in sprint, because we show most of our dogs, we don't really have sprint animals like those jackrabbit things. I mean, sorry. But anyways, and then this dog here, just so you know, this is what's called a saddlebred or saddleback. I don't know if you can tell it from his marking, but literally it's a saddle process, and they're not very. You don't really see them hardly in the show ring anymore. But it would be kind of nice to get a show quality animal with that kind of a marking, because it is a pattern in our breed.
This dog was bred by a gentleman in Canada.
Lee Gilchrist.
Lee Gilchrist. That's probably the best running dog I ever had.
Yeah, it's a very nice dog.
So Anne, if you had a sprinter with some lighter bone and you had your worker with a bit more heavier bone, both fitting within the moderate,
Right?
do you treat them equal?
Well, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if they both fit within the standard, I mean, again, it's like we have our height goes up to 23 and a half, right? But we want our males to be, we say, we don't have a low end, but we want them to be at least 21. So anybody's in that range, I measure them equally. So this photo here, so I wanted to show you this. So this photo, this dog, running, and then here he is. He was only shown one time. There he is. So he's 11 years old.
Wow.
He looks like a 2-year-old.
Yes.
11 years old, and he won a specialty.
He was still running competitively. That one picture before this, he was probably 9. And the piebald dog in him probably set my all-time course record for speed.
He's a
per
broker
mile.
son, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, I would like to have a little more angles on him, okay? I'm not saying he's a perfect dog, but we're just saying that you could show an 11-year-old dog and run an 11-year-old dog. So.
Yeah, if what
You
happens
should
is,
be able to, is what you're really
Yeah.
saying.
Yes.
You don't want a dog that's
We want our
11
dogs in-
to
he
be
was
that
in-
heavy and short-legged, because a lot of them get very chesty when they get older.
Right,
people,
yeah, so that's what
That's
I'm
not
saying,
what
when
you
they're
want.
11 years old, he's not very chesty.
yeah. People grab a thigh of a dog. People grab a thigh of a dog, say, oh, the dog's in shape. I could always tell if my dogs were in shape by picking them up. I could have two dogs exactly the same size. One dog didn't run, one dog has 2 or 3 years of running. And one dog's actually heavier than the other dog. So if you actually put both dogs in a tub of water, they would displace the same amount of water. But on the other dog, the bone density was very high and the muscle density was very high. And that's how I could actually tell at what condition. And then when you went from year to year, you had muscle memory. So to get that back, the dogs would come back very, very quickly at the start of the next running season.
Okay, all right, so on to the next question. And that is body. Okay, the standard for Siberians describes the relationship between the length of the body and the height at the withers in this way. It's not displaying? So what's the answer?
One on the right.
Well, no, state, what does it say in the standard? We kind of talked about it already. Right. So what is the length of the body from the point of shoulder to the rear point of croup is slightly longer than the height of the body from the ground to the top of the withers. Okay. And which 2 points do we measure the dogs?
For the shoulder. With
With
the
the
ground.
Perfect. And what's the ideal?
10% longer.
Excellent.
I do this sometimes.
Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and go. Oh, this is my mouse is put on me. Okay, the next topic is grooming. Stop looking.
You're zooming around on the
It's
screen.
running around on the
Never
screen.
said that they all do.
But it's not on my screen.
That's there.
Good. So bring it to that. Right?
You might have to go back out.
Go back out.
Come back out, come back in.
I think when we went to the other,
It must have set it off. All right.
It did something funny.
There it is. Okay, I'm good. All right. Okay, this is what the standard for Siberians mentions about trimming of the coat.
You can neaten the feet.
You could trim the feet. Feet only.
Perfect. What is the trimming of the whiskers and fur between the toes and around the feet to present a neater appearance is permissible. Trimming the fur on any other part of the dog is not to be condoned and should be severely penalized. Do you see that as an issue over here? The trimming?
the top left, you can actually see the guard plates.
No one does anything.
It does happen.
It does happen occasionally, but not. It's
Not too
not
much.
some
I didn't see a lot of it in the ring at all.
Yeah.
So the top picture shows dogs that have been fairly significantly sculpted. Bottom pair of pictures is of the same dog before grooming right after.
Wow.
If you look at the dog on the top left and you remember the photo of my dog on the podium, that dog's been trimmed to look like my dog. My dog did it through running.
Okay.
Yep.
You can't not see that as
Can't not see
I'm
that.
sorry, if you know.
It's a perfect straight line there.
So anyways, it's actually kind of tough sometimes because some of them just have it so down pat, but I mean, really, I think people trim because they want to give the appearance of more leg on their dog. You know, fix it in a walking box. You know, just saying. So, anyways, okay. So then a question came through from your group that said several coat types are accepted in the breed, from a short plush coat to a longer length guard coat to the extreme woolly. Well,
Woolly is not acceptable.
woolly is not acceptable. I just want to we all know that. What are your preferences, and when does the length of the coat impact on the overall outline of the dog, and when will you penalize? Well, for me, so the standard says on coat, the coat of the Siberian Husky is double and medium in length, giving a well-furred appearance, but is never so long as to obscure the clean outline of the dog. The undercoat is soft and dense and of sufficient length to support the outer coat. The guard hairs of the outer coat are straight and somewhat smooth lined, never harsh nor standing straight off the body. It should also be noted the absence of the undercoat during the shedding season is normal. So faults are long, rough, or shaggy coat, texture too harsh or too soapy. So I didn't really see any dogs in the ring today that didn't have a correct coat. I didn't feel any dogs today that had an incorrect coat. So I just want to say that. And so I don't find, yes, some are a little shorter and some are a little longer than others, but as long as I can tell and you're not looking plumey, you know, on your tail and all that stuff, I think it's fine. I'm not hard pressed to, I think I personally, my own personal, I like a less coat. But that's just a preference because I also have dogs that I've campaigned that have more coat than I might necessarily like, but it's still very acceptable, so therefore. Okay? Go ahead.
The woolly coat's actually the worst coat to have because
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't shed water well, so the dog can get wet very easily. The biggest problem is with feet. As you run a woolly dog, what will happen is the snow will ball up on that soft fur and feet, and the digits between will actually get a ball of ice, and then they'll start to cut the feet, and the dog will sour. And the feet are really, really important. They're the first thing that everything runs on. So the woolly coat is truly the worst coat to have.
Yeah, I mean, this is the coat on a Siberian is a survival. I mean, it has to be the correct texture. It's funny because, and I had thought about this, I had a cat one time, and it was out, we have a lot of winter where we live, and it had been out there and it had been laying in the snow, and I happened to walk by and I saw it, and it had frozen to the ground. The cat was alive and everything, but its coat, because of the heat of the body, and because of that silky fur, it was actually attached. So therefore, that's the same exact thing. So you've seen lots of videos, pictures of a Siberian, you know, bird in the snow and everything. They should be able to stand up and just shake it off. Okay, that's the way to coat. That's a correct coat.
Just a quick question. I mean, if it is a woolly, it's not acceptable.
A woolly is not acceptable.
It's not in the breed standard.
Correct.
That is a disqualification.
No, it's a fault. It's not a disqualification. We only have 2 disqualifications,
Yeah.
right?
And the reason I'm asking is because I think it's India. There's been woolly Siberians being shown in India.
Well, it's a fault.
Well, if they bring us to us, they're not going to do it.
They're not going to do well. Right. I mean, just because somebody chooses to show a dog with a woolly coat, I mean, it doesn't make it correct.
The judges should,
A judge should be able to recognize that it's not a correct
But
coat.
it's exactly the thing that's in my own breed standard, which is the rough collie. At the moment, I mean, there's this big
Controversy.
thank you. Between having a huge coat and the correct
Functional coat.
coat. And the huge coat is what we call them the soft, fluffy stuffies. And they go into the rain and the blizzard and they get soaked to the skin.
Exactly.
Whereas the correct textured coat, the dog gets in the rain, shakes it off, and is dry underneath.
Correct.
And it's functional because that's what it's meant to do. It's meant to be warming the land.
Right.
That was the big difference between the long coat German Shepherd and the short coats.
Right.
Because the long coat did exactly that, parted in the middle, and they weren't
They're
working
exposed.
very well up in
Yeah.
the mountains and whatever they're supposed to do, and they get very cold
Right.
and it wouldn't work.
Right.
But the other coat, they could shake it off and
Right.
carry on
So,
with it.
I mean, even in the ring in the U.S., I don't think that we. I mean, typically coats are in great shape. I mean, I think we all know that it's a survival to our breed, right? And if we don't, we should. So.
One of the things with the correct code is we've been in minus 30F, which minus 10C. I mean, really, really cold. And literally, you take your glove off and you put your hand on the dog in sunny weather, and it captures. You can feel that coat's capturing the heat from the sun. And it's just basically a solar generator for the dog.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right. So the next topic is the tail. All right. So this is how the standard for Siberians describe the tail set and carriage at attention. Okay, I'm looking for answers.
Sit just below the top line.
Pardon?
Sit just below the top line
Uh-huh.
and carried in a graceful sickle.
Sickle
Mhm.
or training?
In repose.
Training on the
Leave it to top, touch
Down in
It
repose.
doesn't say training in our standard.
Doesn't say training?
No.
It doesn't work while it's working, I think. Or it used
No,
to.
it's
It
not.
used to in
It's
the old.
down and
Training
something in
down or
repose.
It says in repose, I think it's
In repose, going down.
Okay, so the answer is what is set on or just below the level of the top line and is usually carried over the back in a graceful sickle curve when the dog is at attention. When carried up, the tail does not curl to either side of the body, nor does it snap flat against the back. That's our tail standard. So there's two more tail questions in this game, but I wanted to point out about, so basically the tail carriage and the croup and tail set are all kind of different things, and oftentimes a poor tail set indicates other issues with the croup or structural problems. So people get hung up on the tail. It's really not so much the tail always, it is actually the whole rear end assembly. So we'll get into that. I should have said which ones are good and which ones are not. Anyway. Okay. So now I'm going to show you some photos from our illustrated standard. So that's what's so strange about this, the way this presentation is. My notes are not lining up with that. All right. So my notes page is ahead of the slide page. That's what's.
Yeah, full bar.
Come and see this. This is. Because my notes are up to this, so when I go to that, they don't show. Watch this. See that? All right. Yes. All right. Okay. All right. So anyways, just wanted to show you the variety of tail sets. They're correct and incorrect. So if I go back to this, just a second here. So all right, so in this case, So this is the Siberian at rest. The tail is down. And at rest, the Siberian's tail may be up in a loose sickle curve.
And we're using the American standard or what standard are you?
American.
Must be ANC. Yeah, because ours is a trailing tail is normal.
The South African standard calls for training tail.
For the dog when it goes pose.
Okay.
A trailing tail is
So that's
normal
what
for
we
a dog
say,
at repose.
trailing tail
A
is
trailing tail is normal for the dog
It's the
when they
same.
repose.
Yes.
Correct.
It's the
I
same
understand. Yep, yep.
Okay.
You're right. Absolutely. Okay. So
when you don't-
these pictures. Okay, so number one, this is the tail set on just below the level of the top line. Okay. Number two, this is at rest.
You're
I
not.
don't think you're on the right.
My thing is not
Yeah,
pointing.
you'll
is
have
it?
to get up
Point.
and point.
All right,
Sorry.
I know. Sorry that my pointer is not working. All right, so the one in the upper left is number one.
Top one.
You can do that.
I'm bad.
Thank
Sorry, I didn't shave it.
Okay, and then number two, below it,
We're going to get now. Yeah.
You
is
went down?
at rest, it may be up in a loose sickle curve. Okay, and then number three, next to it,
This one?
yep, is
Same way.
can be carried over the back in a graceful sickle curve. So that's a graceful sickle curve. Okay, and then number four, movement one.
Which one? This one here? This one.
There you go. Yep. In movement, the Siberian's tail may be carried in a loose sickle curve. And then number five, below number four.
That one? To the right.
Yep. In movement, a Siberian's tail may be carried over the back in a graceful sickle curve. And then number six on the top right there. Yep. In movement, a Siberian's tail may be trailing, to your point. My bad on that before. And then number seven, which is below number six, this is the tail from the rear when moving. Okay? And then you might as well go to the faults.
Oh.
You're up there. Okay. And then number eight, yep, that's the snap.
This is a different breed show.
Yeah.
Real fortunate. I didn't know.
So that one right there, no, that's a snap tail. Okay?
That in the back.
Like a Malamute, essentially.
Like the same word.
Or a sandwich.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Malamute needs to have a,
It has a different,
yeah, it has a,
and then I judgment on these two. So then number nine, which is, let me make sure I got the right position, to the right of number eight. What is that? It's a tightly curled tail. And then number 10,
that is too much of
that's
plume.
the plumy tail. And then,
Don't confuse with one of these here.
It's got the long
got more
hair.
feathery on it.
yeah.
He's sticking
And then number 11, it's up and down.
Low.
Low
Yep.
tail set.
Yep, and then number 12.
And gay tail.
Yep.
High
It
gay
looks
tail.
short too.
So the fault on the top right being a plumed tail, nothing wrong with the tail set.
Correct,
Or carriage.
correct.
Just as a
It's a
plume.
blue.
Just too plumey.
Okay.
Just too plumey.
Out of all those faults on that side, that's the one you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you want a what's called a brush tail.
supposed to be
Brush,
brush,
brush
like
tail.
brush tail.
Yeah.
Correct. So out of all those faults, I would tolerate the plumy tail because it's not a structural issue. Okay.
Can I go back to tails for 1 second?
Sure.
Okay. The function in any breed for a tail is that it is the rudder,
Correct.
while moving, and stabilizer.
Uh-huh.
Now, with it being held over the back, obviously you still get that because it's a mobile tail. Is that the only reason your snap tail is not permitted? because a snaptail cannot move from the position that it's in.
As to balance
It's not
the
good.
dog.
Well, as a well, I'll go.
The Siberian tail, as you said, it does act as a rudder when working. And of course, its fur reflects the type of coat. But it's also used to warm the nose when sleeping. So it's also functional.
Yes.
Okay?
Snaptail can't do that.
Snaptails can't do that.
These types of problems as a breeder are one of the hardest ones to deal with. They're very, very hard. They come up back in the 80s and 90s. We bred dogs, and all of a sudden we got them. It's like, where did this come from? People are actually fixing tails. And that's what happened. Is that they came through. We're like, oh my gosh, what's this?
What's this? Yeah.
But if you go back to the other slide, though, you can find they'll come in with straight stifles. I think that's a beagle. Somebody put a beagle in here.
Yeah.
But this is also a straight stifle dog. It's got a high tail set. So you'll see other things with
Associated with it.
yeah. And there was a major breeder that I was talking to, and basically she told me that she can fix a rear when breeding, and no, you can't fix a rear when breeding. It's just as complicated as the front end.
All right, so moving on. So the next topic is gait and movement. Okay, the Siberian standard describes the front to rear movement of the Siberian in this manner.
Smooth and seemingly effortless.
I'll give you all a hint.
As the speed increases, the legs converge to a longitudinal line. I'm trying to think of exactly where
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like
longitudinal line.
yes, center of body, yes. All right, so the answer is, what is at a walk, the Siberian Husky does not single track, but as the speed increases, the legs gradually angle inward until the pads are falling on a line directly under the longitudinal center of the body. Okay, so that's the definition of single tracking.
Yeah.
Okay? So one of the things, in small rings, Siberians may not have enough room to single track, but their legs should converge. Okay? I am not looking for a dog to start off like that because, wow.
Yeah. So
They
there's
have
an
to
elephant in
work
the room here. We had a judge that disqualified all the dogs because they didn't single track.
Not once, yes.
Not one thing she
Not
understood.
one side was marked as excellent.
You must single track in 3 paces.
Single track in 3
Yeah, it
paces.
must be there 3 paces so that it falls over when it gets there.
But don't enter her again. She's not taking in the whole dog. She's cutting things you can't. Every dog is so different. You can't do that. It's the whole dog.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's
If you move a bicycle at a walking pace, the bicycle will fall over.
exactly.
A bicycle at a running pace will stay on a single track.
Correct. All right. So you see all these dogs here? Okay. All right. I don't know if I don't get my mouse? No. Okay. Whatever.
You need me to point.
That's okay. Okay. So anyway, there we are. So one of the things that I look for when I'm watching the dogs go around, and it's a minor point. Well, maybe it's not a minor point, but it's something that I'm really looking for. So I'm looking for equal triangles, right?
Yes.
I am not looking for overreaching. I am looking for that. Just like that.
Absolutely.
And but I don't know that everybody is paying attention to that. Okay, because I am seeing this. So really pay close attention to those equal triangles. And it's funny because you can have a really nice, flashy looking dog, but man, you want to just, because that's balance.
One of the biggest problems I find as a judge is people tend to run their dogs too
Off the
fast.
beat.
Yeah, the minute they run too fast, it causes overreaching.
Correct. Yeah, it could be a speed thing. And when I was judging the juniors, you know, I gave my little my best junior, but I said to her, and she goes, "Do you have any words of improvement?" I said, "Slow it down." I said, "You're doing a great job." I said, "But you're moving her too fast. Slow it down." And it's true though, because yeah, it's a great moving breed, but loose lead, moderately fast pace. And as long as it's on a loose lead, but when you're just like stringing and going along, you can throw it off just like
And
that.
almost every breed, people
Sorry,
just
I
want to
think
race
inside was
around.
one.
Now you're making mine one.
Frequently inside
That's what
Recommend.
causes overreaching.
But sometimes it's almost like a speed race.
Yeah.
And I can't understand that because it says, okay, moderate to fast pace, but it doesn't say you must bomb around the ring like you know. And I see,
It happens in every breed.
it
Right.
does, and I don't understand that because that doesn't necessarily mean the dog is correct because it's like
Absolutely
bomb around
correct.
the ring at 100 miles an hour.
Right.
It's
Right.
So this is where we get into the saying of long and low. So this is where we get into a saying called long and low. Long and low dogs are very easy to pick out as puppies because they never interfere. That dog never interferes. Look at it, it's just rockets. We actually pick out puppies that interfere. What we look for is a puppy that is moving correctly for the correct pace. So if you have a dog and you see a dog that basically doesn't interfere at any speed, more likely that dog is either really super well balanced and proportionally correct, or it's long and low. So the long and low thing we really don't like because then you get back to the sledding aspect to where the drive, pedal the sled forward is actually restricted. And you'll have a team of those dogs, and when you see them, they're running, but they're really not going anywhere. And that's why we kind of stay away from the long and low thing. So when you get into show ring, and I teach confirmation classes, you got to let the person in front of you go. Show your dog at the best pace for your dog. I've had judges try to instruct me how to show my dog, and I'm like, no. I'm going to show the dog the way my dog shows best. Win, lose, or draw, I don't care. This is my dog. So that's what you got to do. Just let the person go. Show your dog. And that's all I can say. And put the faith that the judge actually knows what they're doing. So.
Yes. All right. Okay, so the Siberian, this is from our illustrated standard. The Siberian Husky's characteristic gait is smooth and seemingly effortless. He is quick and light on his feet, and when in the show rig, should be gaited on a loose lead at a moderately fast trot, exhibiting good reach and drive. When viewed from the front to the rear while moving at a walk, the Siberian does not suddenly contract, but as the speed increases, the legs gradually angle inward until the pads are falling on a line under the longitudinal center of the dog. Okay. Tell her. So these three drawings right here, as I was telling you about the triangles, you see those two triangles? You see where the front and the rear come together? And so when I'm judging, and I don't know if a lot of people do this when they're evaluating dogs, when I'm looking at the front, I don't expect to see the rear. When I'm looking at the rear, I'm not looking to see the front. Literally, those two drawings are going away and coming at you. And when you're evaluating puppies, if you're seeing all kinds of noise, that's what I call it, when I'm seeing this, think about that, because you really shouldn't, you know, when you're considering that as your breeding stock and as your show potential dog. Okay? All right. So then, so these are gate photos showing incorrect, and I don't have to go into them, but you can, if you want me to talk about them, you know, what they're showing. You can see what I was saying about the two over there. See how, and I saw a little bit of that, just a couple, but not much. Actually, for the most part, I would say most of your dogs that you have are pretty true coming and going. I was pretty pleased with that. I saw that. But just a couple were like that. And we're not looking for them to cross over. And see, that's overreaching. Okay.
Can you stand? Oh, keep going. But I want to stand this side.
Say that again?
Can I speak to this side?
Go ahead, because I was also going to show the photos. Go ahead.
So this dog right here, our standard doesn't say equal length between these parts. But this dog is actually imbalanced. This is shorter than this right here. And this is indicative. And it moves, that's as far as
From the elbow.
would come forward.
Yeah.
Now, if you took the AKC Judges Education for General Anatomy, they do talk about these two parts being equal. They're in our breed standard. The upper and lower arm equal?
Yeah.
It is, yeah, you're right, you're right. This dog here is long and hot.
Yeah. You can see by the neck set and the head set
Yeah.
as to how the balance is there.
He's trying to throw himself up to get out of the way.
It's like a horse almost.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going on to the next. Okay, and so we don't want that. That high kick in the rear. See that flat group on that dog?
But you see that?
But that's typical of what causes that high kick in the rear, is a flatter croup. So the question came up on this particular topic was, a lot has been said of the Siberian Husky movement. Do you expect to see a single tracking in the show ring? It was stated by a judge that they heard in a seminar that the Siberian Husky should single track in 4 steps. I think that could you describe your ideal movement? And so, for me, I take into consideration the size of the ring, the speed of the dog, and the size of the dog in that ring. Okay? So I was going to show you a couple of photos. Oops, sorry. Oh wait, for some reason I missed this. I'm going to go back to this one here. So this dog, I wanted you to see this. See how this dog is carrying its tail? Oh, why is it that?
It's fighting with you. It's a man.
Why is that? Wait, maybe I didn't escape. Hold on. Why isn't it showing? I think I closed out the PowerPoint presentation.
Close out.
Now it's showing. Okay, so this dog, he's got a graceful sickle tail. He was excited as he was doing his down and back. See that? He's all kind of cocky. Yeah, but you can see it's below the level, it's boom, drops it. And you can see from the way he dropped it, you can see how it was rounded. It wasn't flat, but I'll do it again. But he was just an excited dog.
Too much testosterone.
But it never touched or went from side to side. I just happened to video this.
This is a dog that we brought to.
Okay, and then this is a photo of him, so you can actually see him. When I'm looking at a dog standing there, I do not like this to just be flat and drop. Flat croups are just, really hard. You want that little bit roundedness to it.
So how old was he in the previous?
Very young.
Yeah.
This is
That's-
only you can see it's a yearling.
Because the testosterone's going and
Absolutely.
the young boys get cocksure of themselves and next thing they're doing all sorts of funny things with their tails. It's
You yourself have to take care of that before you get to ring. Keep them away from other male dogs. Keep them way off. And bring them in. It's just
and then in the ring you've got something right up your back running and the dog's out.
But I have no issues as long as it's not going from side to side.
Yeah.
This did not go from side to side.
Yeah.
It went like this.
Yeah.
That was it. And then when he came back, oh, okay. Because he wasn't showing off anymore, going down.
But at least you understand that it's a young dog,
Right.
and he's like full of himself and
Well, this never caused him an issue because that's perfectly correct. And that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
A lot of people don't agree that the tail that must be trained. That's all.
they'll
They
actually
don't want anything else. If it does not trail, they will penalise the
That's
dog.
right. They'll
I've had judges that I went on a way with that boy you gave the CC to, and as I got back, the judge was standing with his back to me and said, "That tail must be down."
No, it's not called for in our standards.
So we
They need to go
have
back.
an issue with that with judges.
We need to go back to judges'
Which is
education.
why I think it's also why the question keeps coming up, because
Right.
we've even had a seminar where the judge said they've tried to correct it with the new illustrated standard. The tail must always be trailing.
It doesn't say that in our
I'll tell you who
standards.
says that, but not now.
I just gave, well, no, but I gave you, I showed you pictures
So,
from our.
which I think is why people keep on asking that, because the standard says a graceful sickle is allowed. And if you have a dog with a
That
graceful
is.
sickle, then
What's wrong
you've
with
got a
that?
problem, because the judges just nail
But
it.
it's mostly all the judges that
It's mostly all
know.
the
The specialist judges do know, and
Well,
you
that
don't
one
have
is a
that
specialist
problem with
judge, but
specialist judge. You have it with judges who do not know.
Yeah, but the problem is we get them in FCI and then they
Well,
fall
that's
us
what I'm saying, they don't know.
I have a recording of it. I can prove it.
So I ran that red dog actually quite a bit, and
Yeah.
basically when those tails actually ride below the back of the X back on the harness, you never actually see them when you run.
Right.
You never do.
When the dog is working, they drop their tails.
Yeah,
but if they-
Nick,
some-
the huge dog, he had a very tight tail. He was almost like a Samoyed or a Quichon. That tail, yeah, we did see it come up, and he actually ran a little bit cocked to compensate for it. But that was really the only one. But he was just so much dog.
Okay, so then I'll show you, so then we're talking about, this is one of our older dogs. See how he's converging? Yeah. And then, so then I'll show you these. So even when we do puppy evaluations, he videos from the front, I'm videoing from the rear, whatever we do. But we're still looking
That's
for
the way
them.
to do it.
That's the way to go, yeah.
So we're still looking for them to converge as puppies. When I hear about this loose puppy front, what is that? No, they should still, as puppies,
Yes.
be converging. And then from the rear,
Nice long face.
And you notice that puppy's not racing.
he's just
He's
moving
just
along.
moving along.
He's just going along. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've walked up and down that road? I've had to refinish the floor twice.
But anyway, so I just wanted to show you that. So it starts out that young. They should be converging. I'm not looking for elbow weight. And the same thing going away, you know. So we've taken, and then here's another one.
At what age do you evaluate that?
So when we're making our final decisions is at 8 weeks. Yeah, but I mean, I'll start looking at them moving around 6 weeks and such. And then, so then I
6 weeks you can tell the rears pretty much.
oh yeah, rears are easy to,
Rears seem to mature or go more than the front.
right. And so, again, do you see the croup on this dog? This is why I'm showing you this. And this is pretty good. This is a young dog. This is from the, I think he was the 9 to 12 class, 9 month to 12 month puppy class. But he just, and you can see he's effortless. He's just easy. He's not working hard. He's just going along. All right, I'll go back to the presentation that I closed down. I'm not sure why and how I did it, but I did, and I lost my mouse. So let me get back to where we were, first of all, before I... So we were down on... We were on movement, we've gotten... We did coat color and slideshow. Okay, so this next topic is coat color. Are we good on time? Okay. All right, the standard for Siberians describes the Siberian's coat color in this way. Listening back up.
No milk.
Any color from pure black to pure white is allowed in a variety of markets.
But you make so much money with milk.
I
guess we need you some milk to make your money. Okay. Come on back, people. Okay. So, answer is, what is all ranges of allowable colors are black, gray, booty, sable, red, and white. And they may be solid color, they may have multiple shades, they may have white markings, and a variety of symmetrical or asymmetrical markings and patterns are common, including piebald, and no preference should be given to any allowable color marking or pattern. Okay. And so we'll talk about the Merle and Brindle later. They're not allowed. They're DQs, and you all know what a Merle is defined as a marbling effect of dark patches against a lighter background of the same color, and it's not to be confused with color or patch or banded guard hairs like you see sometimes in piebalds, you know. Brindle is defined as darker and lighter single-colored guard hairs producing a vertical tiger striping, not to be confused with banded guard hairs and a different color undercoat. Okay? And then this is from our illustrated standard. Okay, so the next topic is chest. This is the depth of chest called for in the Siberian standard.
Come on, Jack.
To the elbows.
Okay, I'm going to the pictures. What is the deepest point of the chest is just behind and level with the elbows. Okay, and I think we kind of talked about these. We don't, when we're in substance, I don't expect. Yeah. Okay. And then from our illustrated standard, so we're showing you that in rib form, in bone structure. And if there's any questions, just ask. Okay. So the chest is deep and strong, but not too broad. You can see that even looking down on the dog. Do you see that? The barrel ribs versus slab-sided. Okay. All right, so we're back to the tail. Apparently, the tail is very important. Okay, this is what the standard for Siberian says about the length of a Siberian's tail. What is it?
I don't think it says anything about that.
Ding, ding, ding,
I was about to say that.
You get a shot!
Answer, that is absolutely nothing. There is nothing in the Siberian standard that refers to the length
But
of
a
the
short
tail.
tail is so A short tail is horrible.
We don't like it, so it's aesthetically not pleasing, but it doesn't say anything about the Siberian's tail length.
The bone could actually be here, and the dog's actually chewing his tail, because there's some of them that just, hey, I'm bored, I'm going to chew on something.
Yeah. But anyways, but any of these tail lengths are correct. Okay, now the next topic is pigment. This is how the standard for Siberians describes the Siberian's nose pigment.
Black or
Black and grey, black
black,
and possibly white dogs.
Snow nose
Liver,
brown.
red,
brown.
and brown, and it can also be white. And snow noses are allowed.
Very good. Jeez, you can study. Okay, what is black in black, gray sable or agouti dogs, liver in red dogs, black, liver or flesh colored in pure white dogs. The lighter streaked snow nose is equally acceptable. So I'm going to take a little momentary thing here and show you an example of a snow nose.
Middle ones inside.
Yeah. Okay, so this actually what was one of our dogs. He's since passed. But this is him.
We can't see that.
We can't see that.
Why is that?
You're too quick for this. South Africa, we're a bit backward.
Talk for yourself.
I'm more talking about the technology.
It must be
That's all right, I'm still trying to figure out which way the sun's setting. Which way is north?
And which side of the road do we drive?
Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, so this was a photo taken in the dead of winter. You can see the snow for proof. Did you see how black his nose is? And then here it is in April. Check that out. That's a snow nose. That is not a dog lacking pigment. He has beautiful pigment. Look at his eye rims, and I should have also done his lips so you could see it. But this is what really is a snow nose, not a dog lacking pigment. And so that there is a difference when you see one in the middle of the summer and it's just all white here and black there. Okay. So I just wanted to show that because I had that.
Stop watching.
Talk about it. All right. Slide. Okay. So anyways, see that? What I was talking about? That's not a snow nose.
So I think they've actually X'd this out because they're saying down here it's not the pink lips.
Yeah, his lips also
See the
pink.
lips?
Like a cat's paw.
Okay. And then these are just showing you from the illustrated standard. We tried that, show that. All right, we're coming close to the end. So disqualifications. These are the disqualifications called for in the standard.
Height.
And the color.
And Roland Brindles.
Merle Brindles, that's correct. Okay, and so here we're just showing you dogs over 23.5 inches and bitches over 22 inches at the withers. Okay, and so I don't have any favoritism towards smaller than standard or taller than standard. They're all perfectly acceptable to me. Okay. I mean, we don't, and I'm not, so for me, it's not in the standard, but I'm not looking for a male dog to be less than 21 inches, and I'm not looking for a bitch to be less than 20 inches. We don't call it out in the standard.
But from a working perspective,
That's
that
just,
wouldn't.
okay, so I don't have any preference to either end of the standard. And then this is from our illustrated standard. Again, just showing you. And I think that in metrics with that 60 cm and 56 for females.
Same as.
Yeah. And then here we are, Merle.
Yeah, wow. I've seen a better one.
Pardon?
I've seen a better picture than that. Of a Merle.
Share that with us.
I will.
So, and again, this is from our illustrated standard.
I've never seen a picture of the brindle. That's the first time I've seen one. But I've seen quite a few.
And that is it.
Final Jeopardy comes
Okay, here we go. The Siberian standard describes the Siberian's tail while gaiting in this manner.
Carried in graceful, sickle.
It knows all about the tail.
The rest of the
Answer,
dog
what is
doesn't.
not mentioned in the standard?
It's the leg.
It's not mentioned in the standard. No, the carriage while
The
gaiting.
carriage while gating. Oh, that's true. It's
not
not
mentioned. And that's why I showed you that dog. That was perfectly fine, and you know, as long as it's not going from side to side, okay? The well-furred tail of a fox brush shape set on or just below the level of the top line and is usually carried over the back in a graceful sickle curve when the dog is at attention.
But it doesn't say anything about the tail.
When carried up, the tail does not curl to either side of the body, nor does it snap flat against the back. The trailing tail is normal for the dog when in repose. Okay, so I'm not a tail freak. I'm a croup freak. I hate flat croups, and I
And you
think
also,
a lot of
while we're on
tail
movement,
issues are that.
together with the trailing tail, it was also said that the head must be level with the top line when moved. It can't be a slightly, and I said, well, the standard actually says slightly forward. It doesn't
Slightly
say
forward.
it must be in a
That's
straight
correct.
level line.
And typically when it's straight, the dog is a little straighter. You want it slightly, just like it says in the standard. I mean, in fact, is when I was showing you that picture, which I consider, lost my mouse again.
We can see it.
Of course. You're on that. And let me close you down again. Okay. For example, look at his head.
Yeah.
Slightly. It's not level.
But it can.
It can be.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be.
No.
Yeah, that's why you want to
Yes.
see that the dog
Yeah.
is running in the direction and the straight.
If he's pulling, he's going to
Well,
actually
you don't
have his
anywhere.
neck down.
When you have a harness in the dog, your breastplate comes down here, and then you have the open loops and the X back coming back, and the head being up, it's actually going through the harness in the correct position. And most of the time, their heads are just slightly above.
Yeah, I don't know any dog that runs in harness like with a flat, you know.
Yeah, their
back,
head's totally down.
right?
You know,
It's not going
if
to be.
it's doing that, it's compensating for something else.
Right. I think that's, so anyway, I think that was it. Let's go into any questions you may have.
There was one that we didn't,
Did I miss one?
dogs of yesteryear running versus this year.
I did that early on.
Just missed it.
I remember.
But he was
You
not,
said you
yeah.
run your dogs and you show your dogs, so
Yeah,
Oh,
it should.
right.
but I wanted to expand on that. So one of the things that we do in Siberians against sled dog degrees, it's actually based on your team's performance against the top 3 teams. So to get the miles, and I don't know if I still will have Mary's email, or I am in the feed. So get an SD degree, team time is no greater than 1.33 times the winners. You take the first 3 teams, you add them up, you average that speed. Your time has to be in 1.33 of that team. So what has happened over the years is that when that formula was originally made, you didn't have Alaskans, or you didn't have Eurohounds, especially in sprint racing. Eurohounds are extremely fast. They're getting down to 3-minute miles. a good solid Siberian team is 4 minutes per mile. 4 minutes per 1.3 kilometers, I believe, is what the conversion is. That's really a strong, sustainable speed for a mid-distance. So as the times have gotten faster, breeders have tried to breed their dogs to keep up with their neighbors. So it's been driving unconsciously, I believe, sled dogs, Siberians. And when you get up into Finland, you have to have a working degree to get a championship. So that really throws it out there. I mean, they, in some of the northern, isn't that correct? Is it Finland? Yeah, Finland.
Nordics.
The Nordics. So you have to have both. So these people are being pitted against dogs that are not confined to our standard. Yeah, conforming. So we're actually racing dogs that are not on the same playing field, and that's really kind of what's happening. Is that they're being driven to breed.
So now those are races off for purebred team races now.
Yeah, that's
so you are competing against.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do. Is you have to compete, breed against them, and that's it. So
Makes a difference.
yeah, but that's really because even us, you saw some of the dogs in the back. They were a lot more extreme than the show dogs, and we had to introduce those dogs in to get there.
Is that why a lot of the British dogs are so extreme?
That's a whole different topic. That happened so long ago. That's a whole nother topic.
Because you look at them and you think, are they wolves or are they Siberians?
What are
Sprint has
So speak about working line and
So my mentor in dog sled driving was Dill Wolf, and Dill had a couple things. First off is he actually bred his bitches when they were actually quite old. He would breed at 7 or 8 years, and basically the dog was functionally done racing. And a lot of the sled dog drivers, the hardcore sled dog drivers, would actually keep the whole litter. And they would have 40 dogs. And there's some fundamental differences with that. They also breed for males. How many people here have 6 puppies and they're all male and they call their best friend and go, I got 6 males? Nobody does. They go, oh my God, I got 6 males. And almost, I've said this before in the past, that the male specials are actually sloughs because people are breeding for females and not males. So if people bred for males, it would be different, but not everybody actually breeds for them. They breed against some females. So there's fundamental differences in the two groups in breeding. Also, people in the show ring, they'll breed to what's going on in the show ring. And people who are racing are strictly after speed. It has a head and ears. I'm happy with that. It runs really great, fast. I'm really happy with that. So they're not breeding breed type like we are, which kind of drives me nuts because you can do hand in hand.
Any questions? Yeah. Are they still with us on the line?
Yes, they are.
Any questions on the chat box?
Any questions there?
I've asked.
Oh, did you
Thank you,
ask?
Byron.
Sorry. The bite.
The what? The bite. Yes.
Calls for a complete scissor bite.
Correct.
We have some judges who are checking the testicles through the dog. Jaw is, especially like for Rottie, Doberman, call for a complete sensation. And that, especially with puppies, that can actually put puppies off. So how do you, when you say complete scissor bite, how do you in what term do
What do
you
you mean by
refer
complete?
to
It's just-
complete?
I've not.
Must have all the teeth in the scissors
I've
bite.
never
Do
heard
you
the
want
word.
a full
I've
set
never
of
heard of the
dentition?
word complete. A scissors bite is a scissors
No, it
bite.
says in our standard
It
complete.
says complete.
Complete scissor bite. So
I mean,
the
complete
word
means that all the
the
teeth
word
go.
complete.
All the top teeth should go over.
I think that's
That's what they're trying to
But
say.
I've had judges say to me, complete means full dentition.
That's
So,
not.
so that is your South African.
It doesn't say it.
Yes.
Full
Yes.
dentition.
So what I would have to do to look at what the qualifying complete is, if you do have judges education like we do, that actually defines the term more.
It just says.
We
May
don't
Yeah.
have
I say something from a veterinary point of view? Okay, for vets, when we are taught dentition, we are taught that a complete scissors bite means that the upper teeth overlie the lower teeth in all directions, top, sides.
Inclusion as well.
Okay,
That is the occlusion.
Here's our standard right here. This is.
No, it
standard.
doesn't say this, but it doesn't say it.
It
It
says
just says
teeth,
closing in a scissor
teeth
bite.
closing and a scissors bite.
That's all it says.
There's nothing about complete.
Goose's website.
Excuses
website.
This is off Cusa's
It used
website.
to say complete
It
scissor
just
bite.
says
Maybe it
closing
changed.
in a
I think
in
that
a scissors
changed.
bite.
It says
It
teeth.
used to be complete.
Because I had never heard the word complete. So,
Let's use it.
So tell them they must go back and read the standard again.
so literally, I had a judge one time came up, because so in America now, we have gone to, because the AKC has been asking the judges to have the people shoulder bite, right? And I find it easier for me just to come up and check the bite myself on the dog, because a lot of owners don't know how to, and they're momming their dog, and the dog's like, why are you, you know, and it's just a big fight. So I did have a judge one time, brought my dog up, and he looks, and he starts doing all this. I said, what are you doing? I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm checking. I said, well, I've never had anybody ever check out anything other than scissors, since that's what our standard calls for. I didn't blaze, of course, because but I called him on it, because that is not what our standard calls for. It is just simply a scissors bite.
Yeah, precisely.
And then if you notice, I had checked into, do you guys have people with shoulder bite, and I was told that over here, no, the judge just typically does. You know, I did that, you know. And I literally just lifted the lips, gave the scissors, good. There were a few, by the way, that weren't. I had some levels. I like my Siberian Husky. It's a natural breed, they're a natural whelper, and they need to be able to rip their milk apart. They need a good scissors bite to do that. If you have a level bite, it's not good. Just saying. I'm not going to, if all else is really great, you know, it's not going to be the worst thing, but I'm just saying pay attention to it. You want those
As
scissors
breeders,
bites.
you need to pay attention to
Yeah,
more than.
yeah.
We ourselves as breeders, yes, we've had some scissor bites, but we've never found it to be
I mean, level bites.
level bites.
Yeah. I mean, it's so rarely. So, I mean,
We've had, you're breed enough, you're gonna get stuff.
yeah, we always have to, it's one of those, that now when I've gotten to the, I better check the bite, because, I mean, they're all, because they're just all regular bites, right? But it's always something that we should check, so. Any other questions? Okay, I hope this was good.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay.